Every year, American agriculture produces billions of tons of crops across millions of acres, with most of the process now almost fully mechanized. From fruit trees and vegetables to hay and industrial crops, modern machinery has helped cut out labor costs by up to 70%. And still boost productivity by 3 to 5 times compared to traditional methods. Therefore, American farmers can finish their harvest faster, maintain more consistent crop quality, and significantly reduce post-music harvest losses. Watch until the end too. See how these massive machines operate across the endless fields of the US. Our first stop is the citrus. In Florida, the state that produces more than 70% of all citrus in the US, the harvest season runs from November to June. To speed up the process, most farms use large mechanical harvesters that cover entire rows of trees. As the machine moves along, hundreds of flexible shaker rods sweep through the branches, causing the ripe oranges to drop onto a conveyor belt below, and then straight into the storage bin. It only takes around 10 seconds per tree, and one machine that can harvest up to 200 trees an hour, that's nearly 50,000 oranges. After that, the oranges are transported directly to the processing plant where they're washed, sorted by size and quality, and either packed for the fresh sale or sent to industrial juicing lines to make orange juice. However, not all citrus are harvested by machine. Some premium varieties, especially those sold fresh or used as gifts, are still picked entirely by hand. Workers climb ladders and use special clippers to cut each fruit individually, making sure the peel stays unblemished and the fruit keeps its perfect shape and flavor. Each worker can pick around 90 lbs of citrus per hour depending on the tree size and density. Although this method is more labor-intensive and costly, it ensures the highest quality for these premium citrus batches. Next up is grapes. In California, which produces more than 80% of all grapes in the US, the harvest season starts in mid-August and lasts through to early October. When it's time to pick, farmers use grape harvesters that stand around 13 ft tall and weigh around 22,000 lb. As the machine moves along, it straddles the vineyard, rows, and uses hundreds of flexible shaker rods to gently detach ripe grapes from the clusters without damaging the vines. The grapes then fall into collection trays, are carried up conveyor belt into a 4-ton unholding bin. Produces more than 80% of all grapes in the US. The harvest season starts in mid-August and lasts through to early October. When it's time to pick, farmers use grape harvesters that stand around 13 ft tall and weigh around 22,000 lb. As the machine moves along, it straddles the vineyard, rows, and uses hundreds of flexible shaker rods to gently detach ripe grapes from the clusters without damaging the vines. The grapes then fall into collection trays, are carried up conveyor belt into a 4-ton unholding bin on top and transported back to the collection point. For smaller grape varieties used in winemaking, farmers usually harvest at night when temperatures are around 64 to 68 degree F to preserve freshness and prevent premature fermentation. One machine can harvest between 18,000 and 22,000 lb of grapes per hour, the equivalent of what 40 manual workers could do. On average, the US produces around 13 billion pounds of grapes each year. Most of that goes into wine and juice production, while the rest is sold as fresh table grapes. California alone exports around 35% of its fresh grape output to markets such as Canada, Mexico, and Alaska. In addition to mechanized harvesting, some vineyards still rely on hand-picking for premium table grape varieties sold fresh or displayed in supermarkets. Workers walk along the vineyard rows using special shears to cut each cluster from the vine while carefully inspecting each bunch to remove any damaged or underripe grapes. Each worker can pick around 1,000 to 4,500 lb of grapes per day, depending on the vineyard's size and density. This method helps preserve the fruit's shape and quality, but labor costs are high and productivity is much lower compared to machine harvesting, leaving the heavy-laden vineyards behind. Let's take a look at how Americans harvest sweet potatoes. In states like North Carolina, Louisiana, and California, the largest sweet potato producing regions in the country, the harvest season usually runs from September through November, when the leaves start turning yellow and the soil is dry enough for digging. Nowadays, American farmers rarely harvest by hand. Instead, they use automatic sweet potato diggers that lift the soil layer above the roots and gently push the potatoes up without damaging their skins. Right after that, a rubber conveyor system carries the potatoes across rotating rollers that remove leftover soil, roots, and music leaves. A modern harvester can dig up to 4 to 6 rows of sweet potatoes at once with an average capacity of 15 to 20 tons per hour. Once collected into the rear storage bin, the sweet potatoes are transported directly to the processing area where they're washed, dried, and automatically sorted to remove any damaged or low-quality roots. Finally, the greater potatoes are packed and shipped to distribution centers or food processing plants. On average, the U.S. produces around 3.2 billion pounds of sweet potatoes each year, with more than 60% coming from North Carolina. Most of the harvest is used in the packaged food industry or exported to markets in Canada, Europe, and Japan. After sweet potatoes, we move on to a very different kind of plant, the water hyacinth. Although it's not a commercial crop, it's widely harvested across many southern states. For harvesting, farmers and environmental agencies use self-propelled water high harvesters, equipped with front-mounted cutters and floating conveyors that gather the entire biomass. Each trip, the machine can collect up to 10 tons of hire before transporting it to a processing facility. In Florida, the Clean Water 2025 program operates more than 120 harvesting machines every day, keeping waterways clear while efficiently utilizing this massive source of biomass. Sweet corn is one of the most iconic crops in American agriculture and today is harvested almost entirely by mechanization. In major sweet corn producing states like Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Florida, farmers use sweet corn. Harvesters worth over $500,000. These machines move along the rows, cut the stalks, strip the ears, and then transfer the corn onto a conveyor belt connected to a truck driving alongside. After that, the corn is transported directly to nearby processing plants where it's sorted husk or kernel before being packaged, just a few hours after harvest, ensuring its freshness, crunch, and natural sweetness are perfectly preserved. According to the USDA's 2024 report, the total U.S. sweet corn production reached around 5.24 billion pounds. Of that, around 1.49 billion was sold directly at farmers markets and supermarkets, while the majority, around 3.75 billion went to the food processing industry for canned corn. Frozen products are ready-to-eat foods. However, some small farms in states like Illinois, Georgia, and Pennsylvania still harvest sweet corn by hand, especially premium or organic varieties, sold at local farmers markets. Each worker can pick around 2,000 to 2,000 ears of corn per day, depending on weather conditions and planting music density. Though less efficient, this hand harvesting method remains popular on family farms where growers prioritize quality and the perfect condition of each ear of corn. Next comes sugar beets, the main raw material used to produce America's domestic sugar supply. More than half of sugar consumed in the U.S. each year comes from this root crop. In northern states like Minnesota, North Dakota, and Idaho, hundreds of thousands of acres are covered with sugar beet fields. When harvest season arrives, farms operate specialized harvesting machines that cut off all of the green tops, gently lift the beets from the soil, clean off the dirt, and transfer them directly onto automated trunks. A modern harvester can process around 50,000 to 60,000 lbs of sugar beets per hour. During the 6-week peak season, these machines run almost non-stop day and night to finish, harvesting before the temperatures drop. Today, more than 95% of the sugar beet crop in the U.S. is harvested entirely by machine. After harvest, the sugar beets are transported directly to nearby crushing and refining plants for cleaning. There, they're washed, sliced, and heated to extract sucrose. The resulting sugar juice is then filtered, concentrated, and refined into fine white sugar crystals before being dried, packaged, and distributed to the market. On average, the U.S. harvests more than 70 billion pounds of sugar beets each year, providing nearly 60% of the nation's domestically produced sugar. Continuing our journey, we head to the vast sugar fields of the southern U.S., where the crop is mainly grown in Florida, Louisiana, Texas, and Hawaii. Each year, the U.S. harvests over 34 billion pounds of sugarcane, supplying much of the raw material for the nation's sugar industry. With an average price of around 2 to 2.3 cents per pound, the sugarcane industry generates billions of dollars in annual revenue, playing a vital role in music. The agricultural economy of the southern U.S., the harvest season typically begins in October and lasts until early January. Before the machines enter the fields, farmers often perform a light burn of the dry leaves on the sugarcane stalks to remove debris and make the harvesting process more efficient. Right after that, modern sugarcane harvesters moved into the fields, cutting the stalks close to the ground at night to finish harvesting before the temperatures drop. Today, more than 95% of the sugar beet crop in the U.S. is harvested entirely by machine. After harvest, the sugar beets are transported directly to nearby crushing and refining plants for cleaning. There, they're washed, sliced, and heated to extract sucrose. The resulting sugar juice is then filtered, concentrated, and refined into fine white sugar crystals before being dried, packaged, and distributed to the market. On average, the U.S. harvests more than 70 billion pounds of sugar beets each year, providing nearly 60% of the nation's domestically produced sugar. Continuing our journey, we head to the vast sugar fields of the southern U.S., where the crop is mainly grown in Florida, Louisiana, Texas, and Hawaii. Each year, the U.S. harvests over 34 billion pounds of sugarcane, supplying much of the raw material for the nation's sugar industry. With an average price of around 2 to 2.3 cents per pound, the sugarcane industry generates billions of dollars in annual revenue, playing a vital role in the agricultural economy of the southern U.S. The harvest season typically begins in October and lasts until early January. Before the machines enter the fields, farmers often perform a light burn of the dry leaves on the sugarcane stalks to remove debris and make the harvesting process more efficient, right? After that, modern sugarcane harvesters moved into the fields, cutting the stalks close to the ground, chopping them into short segments and transferring them onto trucks through an automated conveyance system, completing a fast and precise harvesting process. From the fields, the fresh cane is transported to processing plants within a few hours to preserve its natural sugar content. Following the sugarcane season comes hay harvest, one of the most important crops in the U.S. livestock industry. Hay is grown in nearly every state, but it's most concentrated in areas with vast grasslands such as Texas, Nebraska, Kansas, South Dakota, and Montana. Each year, American farmers harvest around 264 billion pounds of hay to support livestock production. The hay harvesting process in the U.S. is almost entirely mechanized. When the grass reaches a height of around 18 to 24 in, farmers begin cutting it with forage mowers or mower conditioners, which are equipped with high-speed, rotating blades that cut close to the ground and gently crush the stems and windrow the hay into neat rows. After that, a forage harvester moves through the field, chopping the hay into small pieces and blowing it directly through a chute onto a truck or trailer, moving alongside, saving both time and labor. From there, all of the hay is transported directly to the livestock farms to feed dairy cattle, beef cattle, or horses. Each forage harvester can produce between 50,000 and 70,000 per day, meeting the massive feed demands of large-scale farms. Potatoes are the next crop in today's video. The potato harvest in the U.S. usually begins in late August and lasts through early October. Depending on the climate zone, during this time, massive potato harvesters dig through the soil with sharp steel blades to separate the tubers from the roots and dirt before lifting them onto a vibrating conveyor system. There, soil, rocks, and stems are filtered out while the potatoes are transferred into storage bins or directly loaded onto trucks moving alongside the field. Right after harvesting, the potatoes are transported directly to specialized storage facilities where the temperatures are maintained between 38 and 40 degrees F to prevent sprouting and keep them fresh for as long as possible. In the U.S., around 44 billion pounds of potatoes are harvested each year, making it one of the world's largest potato producers. Just behind China and India, the average farm price is around 12 cents per pound, generating billions of dollars in annual revenue. If there's one crop harvested in the most unusual way in America, it's definitely the cranberry. Unlike corn or potatoes, which are gathered on dry fields, cranberries are harvested on water, creating one of the most stunning sights in North American agriculture. In states like Wisconsin, Massachusetts, Oregon, Washington, and New Jersey, farmers begin the cranberry harvest season from September through early November. The process starts by flooding the cranberry bogs with water, creating a layer that's about 18 in deep that covers the entire field. Once the water reaches the right depth, egg beers use spinning paddles to stir the water, knocking the ripe berries off their vines and causing them to float to the surface. After that, farmers use large, circular nets or floating booms to corral the cranberries into tight clusters before pumping them out of the water with high-powered vacuums onto trucks. From there, the berries are taken to processing facilities where they're washed, sorted, and chilled. The highest quality berries are then used to make juice, dried cranberries, or cranberry sauce. Each year, the U.S. harvests around 8.1 billion music pounds of cranberries. That's nearly 810 million. Wisconsin alone accounts for more than 60% of the total production, followed by Massachusetts. Leaving the cranberry bogs of the north, the journey continues to California, the pistachio capital of America. The harvest season usually begins in late August and lasts until mid-October. Across orchards stretching hundreds of acres, mechanical shakers roar to life. The machine's hydraulic arm grips the trunk firmly and shakes it for a few seconds, causing clusters of pistachios to drop into catching frames below. A mature music tree can produce between 50 and 80 labies of nuts each year, and within just a few days, the entire orchard is cleanly harvested. Immediately after harvest, trunks transport the pistachios to processing plants within 24 hours. There, the nuts go through several processing steps. They are dried at about 160 degrees F to prevent mold. Afterwards, they're sorted, roasted, salted, and packaged before hitting store shelves or being exported around the globe. According to the American Pistachio Growers Association, the U.S. produces around 1.5 billion pounds of pistachios each year, generating over $5 billion in revenue, with more than 70% exported to Europe, China, and India. And in today's harvest, we arrive at olives, a rich crop in Mediterranean flavor, but thriving in California, especially in the Central Valley, San Milcan, Sacramento, and the Coastal Range. This region is the U.S. olive capital, producing over 95% of the nation's olives. The harvest season usually runs from September through November, depending on the intended use. In the past, olives were picked entirely by hand, one by one, in order to avoid bruising the fruit. However, today, large Californian farms have almost fully mechanized the process. In the field, trunk shaking machines grip the base or branches and shake vigorously for a few seconds, causing the olives to fall onto catch mats below. In orchards planted in straight rows, farmers also use self-propelled harvesters, massive vehicles that straddle each row, lightly shake the tree, and vacuum the fruit onto onboard storage compartments. Immediately after the harvest, the olives must be transported to the mill within 24 hours, as any delay can significantly reduce oil quality. There, the fruit is separated from leaves and crushed into a paste before being spun in a centrifuge to extract the pure olive oil. Exploring the harvest seasons across the U.S. shows that every crop has its own story, from how it adapts to the land to how farmers and machines work together to create bountiful harvests. Thanks for joining us, and don't forget to subscribe to continue discovering more agricultural journeys. Did you know that on the market, a harvesting machine can be worth tens, even hundreds of thousands of dollars? Although expensive, they can replace the labor of hundreds of people, work continuously day and night without fatigue, and harvest billions of tons of fruit and vegetable each year. Is this massive investment truly worth it, though? Let's find out in this video. In the vibrant tulip fields of the Netherlands, these flower beds are not grown for viewing, but for their bulbs. Growers proactively cut off the entire flower portion as soon as they bloom.
The sharp blades on the machine
Heads slice off hundreds of beautiful flowers in just a few minutes. This helps the plants redirect all of their energy into the bulb instead of continuing to nourish the flower. Music? In the summer, these tulip bulbs are harvested. The digging blade gently turns the soil layer over, bringing the clusters of tulip bulbs to the surface. A vibrating sea system removes dirt, sand, and leaves, and then the bulbs are moved into a water bin for cleaning. Afterwards, a conveyor belt transfers the tulip bulbs to another wagon for transport to the storage facility. By autumn, the smaller bulbs are replanted in the fields while the larger ones are sold to greenhouse growers, where they continue to develop into vibrant tulips to serve the global consumer market. In 2024, the Netherlands maintains its position as the tulip capital, accounting for over 50% of the world's flower bulb export market share. Our next destination is the blueberry fields. Modern machines are specially designed to hug each blueberry row from both sides, then use vibrating rods across the plant's trunk to shake the ripe fruit down. Immediately below is a continuous system of hatching trays and conveyor belts, moving all the fruit into containers in just a few seconds. For wild blueberries, the harvesting process is different. This plant grows low and is densely distributed on the ground, so the harvesting machine is equipped with a metal rake head, a structure resembling a gigantic cone, which sweeps and separates the fruit from the branches simultaneously. When the collecting tray at the back is full, workers detach it and pour the fruit into large containers. Thanks to such technologies, global blueberry productivity continues to grow robustly. In 2024, the world's blueberry production reached 2.15 million tons, an increase of 21% when compared to 2023. Besides growing the trees, farmers also grow hay for livestock feed. In 2025, hay production is projected to continue, increasing with the U.S.'s total supply alone reaching 47 million tons. On sunny days, the farmer starts the mower, running it along the field. Fast-spinning blades cut neatly close to the ground, forming long, perfectly aligned swaths of grass. After cutting, the grass is left right in the field to air dry naturally, under the sun for a few days. Once the grass is dry, a bore is used to tightly compress it into neat blocks. These bales are easy to transport and convenient for storage in a barn or for direct feeding. The next machine I want to introduce to you is the potato planter. Music before starting. The farmer pours the seed potatoes into a large hopper on the machine along with liquid fertilizer tanks with a capacity of 1,000 gallons that have been prepared. The planting operations of this machine take place thanks to a system of silicone suction cups. The silicone cups grip each seed potato with suction force, then drop them into the soil furrow. Immediately, liquid fertilizer is also dripped onto the surrounding soil. Once the seed is dropped, the covering discs quickly cover it up, and then the leveling bar evens out the surface of the row, ensuring each potato tuber is at the same standard depth and spacing. The entire process runs continuously and smoothly at an average speed of 5 to 6 year-round. Globally, approximately 186 million tons of tomatoes are produced annually. On an industrial production scale, tomato harvesters are favored. First, the machine heads cut the entire tomato, plant near the base, and feed them onto a conveyor system. This system vibrates to separate the tomatoes from the stem and leaves, and then removes residual dirt and the sand adhering to the fruit. The ripe tomatoes are poured directly into a container bin of a truck, preparing for distribution. Our next location is the journey from the cornfield. These ears of corn will be harvested for livestock feed. Sharp circular blades continuously spin at high speed, cutting both close to the base and drawing the entire corn plant inside. In just one pass, this machine head can clear up to 12 rows of plants. Once the corn is fed in, the chopping system quickly grinds the entire stalk, leaves and ears into small pieces. The chopped corn is forcefully blown through a spout straight into a parallel moving dump truck for immediate transport back to the farm. Thanks to modern technology, the global corn silage industry reached the value of $5.7 million US in 2024. The transplanter is also very common on large-scale vegetable farms. The planting process is semi-automated. On the machine frame, workers continuously feed seedlings from the trays into the transplanting system. Immediately after, the machine's mechanical components automatically create a hole, place the plant in the correct position, cover it with soil, and firmly compact the soil around the base, ensuring each seedling is securely fixed. Thanks to his optimized design, a celery transplant can process up to 144 trays of seedlings in just one operation. This system allows for planting multiple rows simultaneously, significantly saving labor and increasing productivity. Next is the coffee harvester. This machine operates by embracing the coffee tree trunk, then shaking it vigorously with rotating shafts fitted with soft plastic teeth. The shaking force is carefully calculated to be just enough to drop the cherries without harming the tree trunk or branches. The falling cherries are then collected directly into a container placed alongside, making the entire process enclosed and clean. Of course, this mechanized method cannot distinguish between ripe and green cherries like manual picking, but in return, the harvesting efficiency is vastly superior. In the 2025-2076 crop, the global coffee bean, production is projected to reach 178.68 million bags. Now we will head to the golden flax fields. As the machine moves through the field, it pulls the entire flax plant out of the ground, immediately performing the threshing process to separate the flax seeds from the stalks. All the seeds are then collected and stored in bins, ready for transport to the warehouse for drying and preservation. Every step is continuous and precise, helping to maximize savings in labor and harvesting time. The remaining stalks, which contain
The flax fibers are not completely
collected by the machine, but are left right in the field. They will be naturally true wetted for a few days to rear the linen-making process. In the list of mechanized crops, hops must be mentioned. Globally, the annual trader production of hops fluctuates between 34 and 38 million. The hop harvester begins its work around mid-August to early September each year. First, the machine cuts the lower parts of the stalk just above the root. Next, the top cutter separates the stalk from the trellis. And then, the entire plant is moved into a container or truck. Everything is completed in a short time to ensure the quality of the hops remains excellent. Immediately after collection, the hot bins are transported directly to the processing facility. Here they are processed right away to separate the cones, which are then dried and packaged. When there isn't enough money to buy large-sized harvesting machines, many farmers choose mini machines such as this rice reaper. The machine's operation is a simple two-step process, cutting and windrowing. The operator pushes the machine along the right rice rows. As the machine moves forward, a front cutter slices the rice stalks near the base. Music. The cut rice is then gathered into a bundle. This machine is a suitable choice for small fields or terrace field paddies where large combine harvesters struggle to operate. To achieve a bountiful harvest, soil care is crucial. The liquid manure spreader is a powerful assistant to the farmer in this task. The way this machine works is simple. The driver activates the high-pressure pump system on the vehicle, pushing the processed liquid manure out. This stream of fertilizer is channeled through a system of hoses and spread evenly by nozzles arranged horizontally and vertically along the machine's body, ensuring that every row of soil receives a uniform amount of nutrients. With a storage capacity of up to 15,000 gallons, this machine can carry enough liquid fertilizer to spread over tens of hectares of fields in just one trip. When more land area is needed for cultivation, a fellow buncher or tree harvester can be used. This machine uses a powerful hydraulic arm clamp and an integrated saw blade to fill the tree trunk in just a few seconds. After felling, the blade system automatically cleans the branches and the top of the tree. Simultaneously, the machine uses sensors to measure length and diameter, then cuts the trunk into log sections of pre-programmed standard size. Excess trees may be fed into a wood chipper. The tree trunk is guided into the machine's in-feed unit where powerful, high-feed chipping blade system begins to operate. In just a few seconds, heavy logs are shredded into uniform wood chips. Immediately after, a conveyor belt transfers all the chips into a conveyor or waiting truck placed alongside. Next is how the citron harvester works. This is the optimal equipment, MPH, with spacing accuracy of over 95%. Thanks to this machine, farmers can plant up to 200 acres of potatoes in just 7 days. Next, let's head to the pea fields to see how the harvesting machines work. The machines move slowly through each pea row, using the cutting unit at the front to cut the entire plant close to the ground. Gathering everything inside the processing system,
The entire pea plant is then
transferred into the threshing chamber, inside the machine to separate the peas from the pods and the vines. The seed portion is passed through a screen and a fan which completely removes any remaining leaves, pods, and debris. After being cleaned, the peas are moved onto a conveyor belt and transferred into the machine's holding tank. When the tank is full, all of the seeds are directly transferred to a truck or large music trailer, preparing for the journey to the packaging plant. This harvesting technology helps ensure the fresh pea production reaches 20.9 million tons per year. To ensure crop productivity, some farmers have started using drones for pesticide spraying. The drones operate completely autonomously and are controlled using smart flight planning tools and intuitive mapping interfaces. In terms of performance, a single drone is capable of covering up to 24 acres per hour. With multiple drones operating together, they can process hundreds of acres every day. Thanks to this flexible nozzle system, the spraying achieves high precision, helping to save water and pesticides. However, a single drone has a relatively high price ranging from $7,000 to $15,000. For organic farms that limit the use of chemical pesticides, cultivators are preferred for weeding. This is an 8-row cultivator. The farmer controls the cultivator to move back and forth between the rows of crops. The main goal is to dig and turn over the soil in the area between the rows to uproot the weeds. Additionally, this process aerates the soil, creating a less favorable environment for weed growth. while supplying oxygen to the crop roots. The cherry tree shaker is also a commonly used machine in agricultural operations. When the machine is operating, the trunk is continuously shaken gently, causing the ripe fruit to drop in just a few seconds. Thanks to the sloped surface of each catch frame, all the cherries fall directly onto the conveyor belt. This conveyor belt system will sort and remove leaves, small branches, and debris from the cherries. The quality fruits are then transferred to the large container at the rear. With just 3 operators, this machine can harvest hundreds of kilograms of cherries each day. In the 2024-2025 crop year, global fresh cherry production is projected to reach 5 million tons, with Turkey alone contributing up to 900,000 tons. Previously, tomato season was only from July to September, but thanks to modern agricultural techniques, we now have tomatoes. Equipment for a dense planting model of 622 to 98 trees per acre. The citron harvester is a large, self-propelled machine designed music to pass over rows of trees. As the machine moves, internal vibrating rods vigorously shake the trunks and branches, causing all of the citroens to fall off. Immediately below, a conveyor system catches all of the falling fruit. From here, they are transported through cleaning conveyor belts and poured into large storage bins. Citroens that are harvested by machine are typically used for processing or juice production, from tulip fields to fruit and vegetable farms all over the world. Technology is fundamentally changing the way humans farm. Have you ever worked with machines like these? Please share your experiences in the comments below. Today's video ends here. Thank you for watching. Goodbye and see you in the next video.